He complained about the cake first, then the food, then the date, then the guests, then the people who didn't show, then the concert tickets I'd been hiding for weeks, the ones he'd wanted for months. I was in the passenger seat, completely still, just listening. And somewhere between the cake and the concert tickets, I realized something I had been fighting off for 10 years. He was never going to stop, and I was never going to be enough. That was the night after his surprise 40th birthday party, a party I had spent months building, a party his own mother helped me plan, and he picked it apart on a 15-minute drive home. That was birthday number 10. I need to tell you about the other 9, because what I said to him 2 days later, on his actual birthday, only makes sense if you've seen all of it. Stay with me, because I didn't react the way he expected. And before I tell you what happened on his birthday, tell me where you're watching from. I want to see how far stories like this actually travel. He grew up one of 5 kids. Birthdays in his house were nothing. No parties after kindergarten. By his teenage years, he was home babysitting his siblings on his own birthday while his parents went out. His day didn't matter to anyone. That wound never healed. He carried it straight into our relationship. I saw it early. I understood it. And I made a decision that I now know was the wrong one, even though it came from the right place. I decided I was going to fix it. One birthday at a time, I was going to show him that he was worth celebrating, that someone in this world was paying attention, that his day mattered. What I didn't understand then was that you can't love someone out of something they're not ready to leave. You can show up every single year with your whole heart, and they can still find a way to turn it into proof that they were right all along. That's what he did. Every year, without exception. And I kept going back because that's who I am. I don't quit on people until I did. Year 1. He was grieving a huge loss right before his birthday. I set everything aside, held him through it, still tried to make the day feel special. He barely acknowledged it. I told myself it was the circumstances. Year 2. I planned something thoughtful. Things he'd mentioned wanting to do. Places he'd said he was curious about. I paid attention all year just to build one good day. He found things wrong with it. Year 3. I adjusted, took his feedback seriously, tried to build something that felt more like his idea than mine. He said it felt like I hadn't put much thought into it. I had spent weeks on it. Year 4, year 5, I started to see the shape of something, but I kept rewriting it as a fixable problem. Maybe my execution was off, maybe my timing, maybe I was missing something obvious. That, once I found it, would change everything. I recommended therapy. Gently at first. He acknowledged it and moved on. I mentioned it again the next year. More directly, he said he'd think about it. He never went. Year 6. I organized a dinner with his closest friends. 3 weeks of planning, he came home and told me it felt low effort. Year 7. I built a whole scavenger hunt through places that meant something to us. He said it was a lot of running around. Year 8. I baked his favorite cake from scratch. 2 weeks getting the recipe right. He said it was a little dry. Year 9. I went the opposite direction. Kept it quiet, just the 2 of us, his favorite meal, a film he'd been wanting to see. No big gestures, just presence. He said it seemed like I hadn't made an effort. Too much, too little, too planned, too simple. Too close to the date. Not close enough. There was no right answer. Because the question he was really asking had nothing to do with what I was doing. The question was, do I matter? And the answer, before any candle was ever lit, was always already no. I didn't have the language for that yet. I just knew I was exhausted, and I still loved him, and I was going to try one more time. His 40th. A milestone. Surely a milestone would be different. It wasn't. I planned for months. I called his mother, got her involved, made sure the people who mattered most would be there. I thought about every detail, the venue, the food, the cake, the timing. I also surprised him separately with concert tickets to a show he'd been talking about wanting to see. The party was good. Objectively good. People came. There was food and music and laughter. His mother was there. His friends were there. I watched his face all night. I recognized the look about an hour in. I'd seen it before at every birthday, that slight distance in his eyes, like he was physically in the room, but already somewhere else, already tallying. I kept smiling, kept moving, made sure no one felt the thing I was feeling. On the drive home, he started talking. The food wasn't right. The cake flavor wasn't actually his favorite. Did I not know that? The date was a problem. Easter weekend, hard for people to travel, clearly not well thought out. His sister had come. Why had I let that happen? I knew there was history there. Some people stayed too long. Some left too early. The whole evening had an off quality to it. Then he got to the concert tickets. He thanked me. And then he told me I shouldn't have spent that much. It made him uncomfortable. I needed to be more careful. 10 years. Not once had he told me not to spend money on his birthday before it happened. Only after. Only once the thing was done, and I couldn't take it back. I said nothing, not because I had nothing to say. I had a decade of things to say, but I had a rule. I don't pick fights on his birthday. I would wait, give him the actual day, then talk. I went to bed that night and lay in the dark for a long time. I thought about the scavenger hunt, the cake, year one, when I held his grief and tried to make him feel seen anyway. I thought, I have given this man everything I had. I thought it was never going to be enough. Not anger yet, just the heavy, settled feeling of finally accepting something you've been refusing to accept for a very long time. The anger came. In the morning, I woke up on his actual birthday with one goal: get through the day. One more day of being kind, one more day of holding it together. And then, tomorrow, I was going to sit down with him and say everything I had been swallowing for years. I got dressed, made coffee, came downstairs with a smile. That cost me something. He was already in a mood. Not aggressive. Never aggressive. Just that low, heavy darkness that fills a room like smoke. I felt it the moment I walked in. "Happy birthday," I said. He said something non-committal. I offered breakfast. Not hungry. I suggested we go out. Anywhere, his choice. Maybe, he'd have to see. I asked what he felt like doing. He shrugged. Didn't care. I kept the smile on. An hour passed, then another. He picked at me over small things. The dishwasher. A noise I made. A comment he decided to take the wrong way. I absorbed each one. One more day, one more day, one more day. And then he said something. I couldn't tell you now exactly what it was. Something dismissive. Something that made 10 years of effort feel like nothing, delivered in that tone I knew so well, the one that said nothing you do will ever be right. Something in me let go. I turned around. I said, "It is statistically impossible for someone to have 10 terrible birthdays in a row when they have a partner who actively tries to make them fun and special every single year. This is a choice. You are choosing to be unhappy on your birthday. You are ungrateful. And I am over this." Silence. I meant every word. I hadn't planned to say it that day, but I meant every single word. And the moment it was out, I felt something I wasn't expecting. Relief. Not happiness, not victory, just relief. The kind that comes when you stop carrying something you've been carrying for far too long. For the first time in 10 years, his response didn't matter to me the way it used to, because I finally understood what I had been refusing to understand. The problem was never the food, never the cake, never the date or the guest list or the money. The problem lived inside him, in a wound that was there long before I arrived, in a story he'd been telling himself since he was a teenager left alone on his birthday. Only he could change that story. For 10 years, he chose not to. I was done planning his birthdays. Not as punishment, not to hurt him. I was done because I finally gave myself permission to stop doing something that was costing me everything and changing nothing. That permission, quiet, private, just mine, felt like the first kind thing I had done for myself in years. There's a trap that people like me fall into. People who move toward pain. People who believe love is something you prove through action, through showing up, through trying harder every time it doesn't work. The trap tells you, if you just love him enough, try one more time, get it right this once, you can heal what his childhood broke. I believed that for 10 years. Here's what I know now. You cannot heal something in someone else that they are not willing to heal themselves. You can show up every year with your whole heart, and it will not be enough if they are standing there with their arms crossed, already decided. He was always already decided. I also want to say this clearly. He is not a villain. He is a person who was hurt quietly for a long time and never got the tools to deal with it. That is real. That deserves compassion. But my compassion for him does not require me to keep absorbing the damage. When I said I am over this, I wasn't saying I stopped loving him. I was saying I stopped agreeing to be hurt by him. I was saying 10 years of data had given me an answer I could no longer pretend wasn't there. I deserved someone who could receive what I was giving. Whether this relationship survives what happened that day, I honestly don't know yet. What I know is I am done shrinking myself to fit inside someone else's refusal to heal. I gave him 10 years. I'm giving the rest to myself. Rehook. Sometimes enduring the pain is not the solution. Sometimes you need to take a stand. You need to speak, even to the person you love, and say, "Your actions hurt me." I believe I made the right decision to speak directly to him instead of continuing to put effort into something that was never appreciated. Do you think I handled it the right way? Or could it have been done better? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to help this channel grow. Thanks for watching.